Hi guys, so this week joining me is Richard Hayden.
Hello.
And Sean Knight.
Hello everyone.
Alright, so Ubisoft's gotten itself into a little bit of a mess with DRM problems in the last week. The loopholes discovered in their system and a bunch of other things have happened. Sean, do you know exactly what's going on?
Well, it seems that for their Uplay network, which is essentially a plugin for the PC, people were able to access it through a rumored rootkit, and causing some concern that if it's used in a harmful manner, it could be used as a backdoor to be used as a root for Trojans, keyloggers, phishing scams, or even memory wipes. So it's a really damaging discovery to be made, especially this late in the game when Uplay has been around for, what, almost 2 years now?
Alright. So Sean, can you explain a little bit what rootkits are?
Well, rootkit essentially is a malicious piece of software that will hide the processes of certain programs from detection, but also allows, privileged access to an infected computer. And, the rumor is that Uplay had a rootkit in it which would allow Ubisoft, access to everyone's personal computer, getting any kind of information they wanted.
Okay, so they've been using the rootkit it's kind of like a virus, almost? Does that sound accurate?
Technically, yeah, I guess you could say it's a virus, but, malicious software virus, same thing, I guess.
No, that's it. Ubisoft has been installing viruses in all of our computers, collecting our information. I'm pretty sure that's the headline right there.
It's interesting.
Now you need to say how Ubisoft have denied that strenuously.
Yes.
In fact, it's just a coding error. At least that's their interpretation of it. I mean, despite everybody else's cynicism. I mean, that's the official story, and it's plausible, but a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I was just adding in some humor. So yeah, Sean, how do you feel about this, considering Ubisoft's always-on DRM policy that they've been putting on their PC games as of late?
I think it's actually quite surprising considering it's from Ubisoft, who's been touting this feature and their online DRM for 2 years now. And for something like this to be there, it's a pretty big oversight on their part. And it's just one other notch against them from the PC community where they've lied to their customers, introduced this draconian DRM, and now this. I mean, ouch.
Yeah, would you think with the always-on DRM that they'd be more secure instead of less? Isn't that the kind of banner they're putting alongside of it, one of the reasons for using it?
Yeah, but unfortunately, these past 2 years, it has not shown to be effective whatsoever. In fact, it's been more of a hindrance with this past Steam summer sales. Their servers went down so nobody could play any games that had the online DRM, which was reported to on Press Reset. So.
I actually encountered that. I didn't think about it at the time, but I downloaded From Dust in the Steam Summer Sale. When I went to load it, it wouldn't exactly run. So
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Their servers were overloaded, so anything using that DRM was affected. A couple of Assassin's Creed, I think Ruse might have been affected. The Settlers 7. Yeah, I know Dominic. Yeah, it's insane, and just continues to show why. And you got to ask, why does Ubisoft continue down this path? Because it's not protecting their IPs, and it's once again being a hindrance and an inconvenience for the honest consumer.
Do you think they're going to change their ways because of this, or do you think this convinces them at all to change what they're doing?
They've been sticking to their guns for 2 years. I don't see them changing it, unfortunately. So, just like I won't change and break down and buy their games until they get rid of it.
Alright. Also this week, BioWare announced that the Old Republic MMO is getting a free-to-play option coming this fall. On staff here, Richard's the... damn it. It's not on staff. That's not what I want to say there either. Okay. Also this week, BioWare announced that the Old Republic MMO is getting a free-to-play option coming this fall. Richard has played the game. Richard, what'd you think of it when you played it?
Well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it's trying to do something slightly different in the marketplace by being a more science-fictional MMO, but anybody who's playing it expecting it to be like BioWare's other science fiction stuff would going to be very surprised. It's not at all like that. And in fact, it's quite unlike in style a lot of other Star Wars games as well, the LucasArts Star Wars stuff. But it's got BioWare's sort of story heritage all over it. It's very much a narrative-driven idea. It has some very good early success, which has kind of dwindled, really. I mean, I think
Kind of, yeah, that's what the news has been saying lately. Old Republic may a little bit be kind of hurting.
Yeah, but
by about 1 million subscribers.
1 million subscribers. From the start, they said 500,000 subscribers would see them break even. So I mean, they've still got some wiggle room before they're in desperate straits. But they've still shipped 500,000 subscribers since launch.
Last week, the one of the guys one of the higher ups got not fired but resigned, quote unquote. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, some people at BioWare Austin, but they did claim that there was some post-launch staffing reallocation going on, and you never know whether that somebody's left in high dudgeon or whether that is a genuine. Oh, okay, the game's designed, it's out there. We don't need these kind of facilitators anymore. It's almost impossible to know.
Right, because with MMOs you gain staff and lose staff. That's to be expected. But yeah, I guess
he may have had a better project to go on to. If he's been working on Old Republic since it started, he might be a little sick of it.
Right. So then to the point, Richard, did you end up paying for the Old Republic?
I didn't know. No.
That kind of says a lot right there. Sean, you've been following the story for a while. What are your opinions on this?
Well, it's interesting because I was saying that before the game even came out, it would have to go free to play because, from what I gather, it brings nothing new to the MMO table. The only selling points it had was, 1, it was Star Wars, 2 was BioWare making it, and 3 was it featured voice acting rather than text-based storyline. With the voice acting, that makes it much harder for them to develop expansions and additional content because it increases the time they need to get it out there.
So you think that feature kind of shot them in the foot a little bit?
I think so. I mean, it's a great feature, don't get me wrong. Age of Conan, if I remember correctly, did it for the first 20 levels. I think in Tortuga was the starting city. Very cool. But, it takes up a lot of resources. It takes time to do. So I think that shot them in the foot. But on top of that, like I said, they didn't bring anything new to the MMO table. It was the same. It's a similar quest system. PvP, even their starship is more linear, if I remember correctly. Anybody can confirm that?
I can't know. Sorry.
No? Okay. I heard it was more on the rails rather than free roaming or anything like that.
Oh, sorry, you mean, yeah, except for combat. I think some of the combat stuff is a bit more 3D, but yeah, generally, passage is...
Right.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, some of the features they brought, they rehashed, has been done better by other MMOs, such as, the ship battles. Star Trek Online has a great system for that. Character creation was kind of limited for SWTOR, if I remember correctly, whereas a lot of other MMOs, such as EVE Online, Star Trek Online, give you some really great character creations where you can do all kinds of things. I mean, Star Trek, I saw a Yoda once running around the starbase, and it's like blasphemy right there.
And both those are free to play, right?
Yes, both are free to play.
EVE's not free to play.
It can be. You can make enough in-game currency, and you just have to pay for it.
You have to pay to be able to get to that level, though, don't you?
Yes.
You have to be paying to learn
Yeah.
that. I think it's Plex, isn't it? You earn Plex in the game, and that buys your subscription.
Mm-hmm. And
I always like the adventuring part of WoW, so another feature that was perhaps in your bullet point. But with WoW, I liked playing it. I didn't play it for too long, but I always liked exploring the areas, and like every time it popped up, you get experience just for running across the map and seeing all the sites. And I don't think the Old Republic has that either. So without all those features that have been rehashed, it's kind of hard to explain paying for it. What do you think this means for the upcoming Elder Scrolls MMO that was announced not too long ago? People got excited about until they learned that it had very similar features to existing MMOs. What do you think that means?
With SWTOR, going back to that real quick, and, Secret World, even Guild Wars 2 to a point, this is starting to show that the MMO market needs to evolve. They can't keep doing the same kind of gameplay, the same kind of features, and just put another skin on it, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, Guild Wars, etc. It has to change. And one of the ways it's been finally changed is free-to-play. But even that's not enough because in the case of SWTOR, yes, there's a free-to-play model. However, there's also the subscription-based model where it seems, from what I've gathered, those who are paying will have an advantage over those non-paying customers. So
A
it's
pay-to-win
more
system.
exactly, and that's never good, and that's going to hurt them. Yeah, the free-to-play move might increase their subscription numbers quite a bit, but I guarantee you in a couple months it's going to drop right back down because of the free-to-win model.
See, I think they also run into a problem with free-to-play. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the game should go free-to-play, but once you enter that territory, you're then competing with League of Legends. And I know saying that a full-scale game competing with League of Legends and Team Fortress seems kind of odd, but they're all free-to-play games, and I think the kind of gamers that play free-to-play games don't really discriminate on genre as much as you think. So I think that for free-to-play games, it's a big emphasis on like character creation and hats and buying new characters, and those games are built from the ground up to be free-to-play, and they're the ones that people are going to want to go to. And with the Old Republic, you have to artificially add in systems to make the free-to-play system work, and I don't know how well that's going to work, because as you said, you have to pay for premium content or pay for higher levels, and I think that gamers are, at least in the Western part of the world, are becoming more averse to that.
Yeah, I agree. And once again, it just shows that the MMO market has to really evolve at this point, because all these MMOs are pretty much carbon copies of each other, or as people like to say, World of Warcraft clones. So something has to change in order for new MMOs to finally become successful, and they can't look for World of Warcraft numbers to be successful at this point, because there's just too many MMOs out there now. Just like with the Asian MMOs, there's so many of them, and they started the free-to-play thing in the first place, and they've all been very successful, but they don't get that many numbers compared to World of Warcraft, but they all have enough to be, profitable in a stable manner.
So do you think that this is the end of MMOs until Blizzard finally comes out with this next big MMO? Because I was wondering if, like, with the Old Republic and everything else kind of doing very meh or very poorly, and if everyone's going to start now twiddling their thumbs waiting for Blizzard to come out with the next thing so they can jump right on that train, do you think there's some validity to that statement?
I really think Blizzard's next MMO isn't going to do as well as people think, because I don't see Blizzard changing up the formula for it at all. They might go the route of BioWare and finally introduce, audio, voice acting all the way through rather than text. But I don't see Blizzard changing. They've essentially become a creature of habit, as we've seen with their Warcraft series, Diablo franchise. It's pretty much all the same thing, just newer graphics and tweaks to the system. I think it's going to take an indie developer or some small-time company to really push the envelope and get people to open their eyes.
I don't think small-time companies can afford MMOs, but I get what you're saying. Richard, do you have anything to add in this conversation?
No, to follow what Sean was saying, I mean, Blizzard aren't going to be innovators now because they've managed to make the model work for them, and everybody else is trying to mimic that. While they will keep things ticking over, they're going to do the thing that's been making them money for the last 10 years, and that would be more of the same, please. Because they're the ones that got it to work. It'll be somebody smaller, possibly somebody already in the market who will innovate. And we were talking about EVE earlier. CCP is that kind of business that might do that, although I don't see them producing a new game beyond Dust and EVE anytime soon. But they are looking at changing things up. So I can't pin my hopes on them, but that's the sort of size company we might be looking at to do something different.
I think the main thing is MMOs will have to evolve where, like EVE Online, it's all up to the players to generate the story, the environment, and everything. We see the success of games like Minecraft, for example. A Lego game, essentially, where you can build and do whatever you want. EVE Online is popular because people can essentially do what they want, and MMOs are going to have to do this at some point. There's one called Salem, not great graphics, but premise is you make your character, you can build your own cities, you can go explore, do whatever you want, and they are not going to bother with you. There's permadeath in there as well, so it adds more drama to the whole thing, kind of like DayZ. That's another great example where, Dean Hall, the creator of that, is looking to make it so that people can build their own little cities and fortifications at some point in the not in the near future, but in the future. I think this is the direction MMOs have to take, where it's up to the players to create their own experiences, not go do quest after quest, grind and grind until you're sick of it. So yeah, this is the direction MMOs will have to take at some point.
All right. That'll about close us out. Thanks for watching this week, guys.